Hello everyone, welcome back. And today we're going to have a bit of a science class. We're going to talk about potash, wood ash, using it in your garden and its relationship with soil pH, the acidic or alkaline level of your soil. Because the two things are intertwined and they're very important, and I need to know before I start using potash on my garden. So if you've been following the channel, you'll know that we are attempting to become self-sufficient in vegetables and fruit and other things. And we have quite a big back garden that we are able to grow this stuff in. And we did grow some stuff last year and it was reasonably successful. We had some half decent onions, we had some half decent potatoes, etc. But we haven't tested this soil. We don't know if it's alkaline or if it's acidic. And that does make a difference to certain plants. Most plants are happy to grow in the mid-range of the pH scale. Now, the pH scale measures acid or alkaline conditions, and it is numbered from 0 to 14. With 0 and the lower end of the scale, the lower numbers being acidic and the higher numbers being alkaline. Now, to find out what sort of soil we've got on the pH scale, we need to do some tests, and to do that I've bought just a home DIY pH test kit for the garden. Now, this is not as accurate as sending some soil off to a laboratory and having it tested or anything like that. It doesn't tell me what nutrients are in the soil. It doesn't tell me anything other than a rough guide as to what pH our soil is. But that's fine, that's all I need to know. And the reason I need to know that is, can I use potash or wood ash on the garden? And if I can't, there are other ways I can use it, which I'll come on to. So what I need to do is take several samples of soil from around the garden, and what I'll do is I'll take them where I'm going to actually have beds that are going to be growing things, and then you have to mix them all together, remove any stones and vegetation, things like that, and then we can do the test. Now we're in the kitchen, and please excuse the state of it. This room has all got to be ripped out and redone. As I've mentioned, we're renovating the house. So we've got quite an old electric cooker here and everything else. But the reason we're in the kitchen is, for this test, you need to have distilled water. And distilled water is just water. There is nothing else in it. There's no dissolved solids, there's no chemicals, etc. Now, you can buy distilled water. It's the sort of thing you would top up your car battery with, that sort of thing. But I had a look, and you can only buy it around here anyway in 5 litre containers, and it's a silly price for what it is, and it is so easy to make at home. So I'm going to very quickly go through that. We don't need a lot. We've only got to fill, some test tubes with distilled water. And the reason you have to use distilled water is it has no pH. Its pH is neutral. So there's nothing in there that could be throwing out the results of the test. If you were to use tap water, the chances are that has been altered for human consumption to give a pH that we can all tolerate. So all you need is a large pan, a bowl of some sort, and a lid for the pan, or some tin foil or something like that. So I've just boiled this kettle, so this water is pretty hot already. I'm going to put some in the bottom of the pan. I'm going to turn on the that particular cooker ring, And I'm going to put the bowl in the centre of the pan. Just sat there in the centre. Now you see this steam that's coming off. This is what we want. So what's happening is this water is hot, it's evaporating, and this steam is basically distilled water. All we need to do is make it condense onto a surface and then drip into the bowl to collect the distilled water. And the simplest way to do that is to put your pan lid upside down if it's got this slope on it. And what will happen is the steam will condense onto this, run down and drip off the knob on the handle and into the bowl, and then we've collected our distilled water. So I'm going to leave that cooking for a while. It's going to take a while to get hot and boil and collect enough water in the bowl so we've got what we need for the test. While that's going on, we're going to talk more about potash. Okay, so this is what it's all about. We're renovating this old house. We've got a chimney, we've opened it up, we took out the old electric fire that was the very 1970s and installed a little wood burner. And with the cost of energy and everything else, it's working out great. We cut down 4 massive conifer trees with trunks like this when we moved in. And we split and logged all the wood. And for the next few years at least, we should be okay. So we've got quite a good supply of wood ash or potash. And as an example, this is pretty much full. And that's about a week's worth of fires in the evening. So what's important though is that you're only getting ash from natural wood, as in trees and twigs and things like that. You're not getting it from building materials that have been creosoted or treated with chemicals, painted, varnished, etc. Because some of those residues will still be in the ash, and that's not going to be good for your garden. Now, what's the benefits of potash or wood ash? Well, it's high in potassium, which is where it gets its name from. There's lots of trace elements, there's some minerals in there, etc. And it's all good for the garden. However, it also contains quite a high amount of calcium carbonate, which is basically lime. It's an alkaline. And that is where the issue comes. If you are spreading potash around your plants and on your garden and everything else, and you already have an alkaline soil, and you are then adding more alkaline to it, you are increasing that soil's alkaline value. And it will potentially come to the point where the plants aren't happy. They're not happy growing because the alkalinity of the soil is too great. And when we look at plants like potatoes, strawberries, they particularly like an acidic soil. Now, yeah, you can grow your potatoes in pots and you can control that separately, and that's what I'm probably going to be doing. I think I probably have a soil that is slightly alkaline because it's a clayey type of soil, and generally clays are more towards the alkaline side of the pH scale. But we don't know. We're going to do the test and we're going to find out. So that's the reason behind why I am doing all of this work, basically, is I want to know if I can spread this potash directly onto my beds and around plants and everything else, or do I need to use it differently so that I can then put it onto the garden? Okay, so this has taken a while to produce this distilled water. It's taken about 2 hours of what I found was you can't really boil the water with the bowl in the pan because the bowl rattles around the pan. So what I kept doing was boiling the kettle, putting some more hot water in, and just letting the steam collect on the pan lid and drip off. So if you're in a rush to do this, maybe you should go buy a bottle of distilled water, but I'll leave it with you. So the little kit that I bought was this, and in the kit you get some instructions, you get your litmus paper tests if you remember from chemistry in school. You've got the scale on there. You get, I think it's 5 of these little tubes, and you get some pipettes to do the test. So I've got my soil, which I've mixed up, and it says in the instructions to fill that to the 20mm mark. So I shall do that, make sure there's no stones or anything in there. A little bit more. And that's about that. So that's the 20mm mark. And then you have to get a pipette. Or you don't have to use a pipette, you can just pour this in, but I'll get it everywhere. So, and you have to fill that to the 40mm mark. This could take a while. I might have to try pouring this in. Where's the 40 mark? There. More. There we go. Put the lid on. Give it a shake. Make sure it all mixes in. Just shake for 30 seconds. And when you've done that, we have to leave it to sit for 30 minutes to an hour so that the soil all mixes in properly with the water. That's what we'll do. Now, if you discover that your soil is alkaline, meaning that you can't really just go sprinkling this around willy-nilly, there is something else that you can do so that you can still get it into your garden and give the plants that potassium and those trace elements, etc. And that is just add it to your compost. Just add it, sprinkle it in here and there as you add more materials. Don't put a big pile of it in, but just add it in with the other stuff. What will happen is ash is very water soluble, so it will just get washed in and it will just mix in with the compost, and then you'll put it out on your garden. Okay, so it's been a good probably 40 minutes, so it's time to find out at long last, after all of this, what our soil, what our soil is on the pH scale. Is it acidic or is it alkaline? So I will take out one of the little testing strips. Now the instructions are very specific, and they say do not dip the strip into the test tube. You have to use a pipette. So I'm going to use a dry one, not the one that I used before. And what you do is you take up a bit of the water And let's see what it says. A small amount of water with the pipette and squeeze 1 drop on each of the coloured pads of the test strip. So there's 2 colours on here, there's like a yellow colour and an orange colour. So 1 drop on each. Okay, done that. And then it says wait 4 minutes to react with the soil solution completely. And then after 4 minutes, we can offer it up, the strip, we can offer it up to the little chart on the back of this bottle, and we will see where our soil lands on the pH scale. Okay, so I'm going to get up a bit closer to the camera just so you can see this. So there's the strip that we've just put the drops on, and here's the chart. And looking at this, I would say we are somewhere 6.5, 6.25 or 6.5. Maybe. No. I think we're about 6.5 looking at that. So 6.5, it's almost neutral. 7 is neutral. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. So it is, it's actually, depending how accurate this test is, of course, it's actually slightly acidic, the soil. So, but in all honesty, it's very, very negligible. So pretty much bang in the middle, and that's really good. That's quite handy for most crops. There are some that prefer it one way or the other, and I'm not going to go into detail about that. The information is all on the internet, anybody can research it, so you can do your own research there. But yeah, I'd say if I'm just getting a little bit, we're pretty much bang on 7 on the pH scale, and that's brilliant. So what I can do is I can actually sparingly spread that potash that we're collecting around plants, over the beds and everything else, and it's not going to massively affect the soil one way or the other. And obviously I can't just put piles of it on, because that would change the pH of the soil. But just sprinkling it around plants, over beds, especially this time of year where it's all going to get washed in, and so that's brilliant. And obviously you get 100 of these test strips in here, so I can test it again later in the year, and you know, every few months if I want to, just to make sure that that potash isn't turning the soil too alkaline. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. If you have, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the like button, and if you click the bell icon, you won't miss any future uploads that I put out. See you next time.